And good morning, my beautiful America. Welcome back to the All American Book Club. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so honored to bring over to the show for the very first time Gina Romero. She is the author of Welcome Home, a guide to homemaking from the heart. She's a writer, she's a speaker, an entrepreneur, passionate about homemaking as a ministry. And you guys, I'm going to put this out there to you. You know, my love for bringing families together, for bringing our culture and our communities together, and addressing the kitchen table issues of today. So I'm excited for us to welcome Gina to the show and to really break down her beautiful book, which just came out, but also really talk about some of those heart issues that I think really are affecting the culture and how we could impact by our salt, our light, our faith, and getting people back together. So please help me welcome back to the show, Gina Romero. I'm so glad to have you.
Awesome. Wow. I will try to live up to my introduction, Eden. You're most gracious. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Absolutely. And, straight from Los Angeles, California, one of my favorite cities as a child. I still love the West Coast. I love the beautiful
Mhm.
Pacific Ocean, though we're right behind the Atlantic Ocean here in the East Coast.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you here. And now that I remember getting an email from you, and I said to Grace on my team, yes, instantly. It was and just for your situational awareness, one of my clients that I represent is Great American Media, and one of their taglines is "Welcome Home." So when I
Yeah.
saw that, I thought, okay, what's Gina up to? And let's talk. So I will stop talking. Share with us about your brand new book, Welcome Home.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so honored to. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah. So it's written for hardworking wives and mamas of this present generation. So it was not my intent to write this book. It was definitely a God thing. I was leaving my church in May, on May 4th of last year, with my husband and daughter in the car. My stepson was not with us at the time. And it was a spiritual download. And God just told me, write this book, call it this, dedicate it this way. And the rest is history. It poured out of me in 6 weeks. It was crazy. I don't want to have to work that hard again because I was burning the candle around
Yeah.
the clock. But it's 8 chapters, and it all just it just poured out of me. And so it was just such a God thing that it was so easy in that way.
Huh?
So I cover so I'd like to think that the mission of the book and the ministry behind Welcome Home, because God revealed to me in September with the launch of my podcast that
Yeah.
which is called Welcome Home by Gina, that this is a ministry for these
Yeah.
hardworking Christian wives and mamas of this generation. And I'm like, oh, okay, Lord. And in my moments of doubt, I'll say, me? But then the Holy Spirit comes up behind me and says, Gina, if not you, then who?
Yeah.
Yeah, because so I am 36 years old and I'm a millennial and I'm a mother and running my own household right now. And so for my generation where our kids are little, we're still kind of getting pregnant at times, throughout
Yeah.
this demographic, and we're going through all these things. We went to school. We got graduate degrees. We got higher levels of education. We're nurses and physicians and educators and all of these things. And we were doing that and dating in our 20s, and all of a sudden you get married and you have kids and epic messes that you need, like you need to know the art and science of cleaning in order to handle, or these kids are hungry and the family's hungry. We've got to eat. And
Right.
then how do we find beauty, joy, and fulfillment in that? And I say that as a mother of two and know what it's like to be sticky for like years because you've got little kids and all of that stuff. And how do we not feel like indentured servants to our family, but rather come up underneath the Proverbs 31 guidance, the
Yeah.
Proverbs 31 woman, and work and serve our families as if we're serving the Lord, which is what we're called to do. So I help women go from chaos to calm to calling with this work, and have practical tips and scripture inspiration in the book. I have it right here. It's in all formats: paperback, hardcover,
So,
audiobook, and yeah, an ebook. So the mission statement is to equip the hardworking wives and mamas of this present generation to live with more peace, more joy, and more beauty in their homes every day. So yeah, that's the book. I've got a chapter on landscaping and gardening and not throwing good money after bad by just buying what looks beautiful, but knowing the microclimates of your house. Think about where the sun is rising and setting in relationship to your yard and
yeah,
where things will grow. A soil test. Do you have
yeah,
sandy soil? Do you have clay type soil? That will help you create that curb appeal and that welcome
yeah.
just from the outside visuals of your home. And then organization, cleaning, mastering your kitchen skills. And then the last chapter is kind of those finishing touches, getting it all done and giving God the first fruits of our time. Because if we do
Yes.
that, yeah, everything else will fall into place.
Now, the first fruits, I think, have been so neglected. I think people don't realize what the first fruits really stand for.
Yeah.
And that is from the tithing perspective,
Right.
you
Right.
giving the first fruits of
Yeah.
taking the Sabbath and
hmm
really knowing what the Sabbath means and taking that because God intended
hmm
that for us. Um, one thing
Yeah.
I really wanted to talk with you about, and I mentioned it in my opening, but this show I have found over the years, and it's something that's always captivated me from my work in the halls of Congress to running for elected office to realizing that at the very end of the day, the most important thing that happens at our kitchen table is
Mm.
what's going to ground us, anchor us, and guide us into that community, into the public square. And I find anything that we do at our kitchen tables, good and bad, it's going to
Mm.
make greater impact for our nation than any presidential speech, than any elected official,
Mm.
as we are impacting a generation. But here's
Yes.
why I wanted to say that to you. You know, you talk about welcome home. And in this day and time, it's hard to find a house, new houses being built with a dining room, with really
Ah.
with really a kitchen to sit around the table like
hmm
we grew up sitting around
hmm
the table having conversations, whether it was going from t-ball to ballet, we were still around the dinner table.
hmm
It's hard to find a house with that anymore. And
hmm
even if you go into a furniture store, it's hard to find a dining room set because they don't make them anymore,
mm
or they're not
Mm.
using them because it's that kind of a culture. It's that
hmm
microwave, let's go the next,
Fast.
it's a very fast culture and
Yep.
it's rapid fire in our
Yep.
backyard. But
Yep.
how can we bring into our safe home and our zones a place
hmm
for retreat, a place for
Yeah.
conversation, a place to grow, and a place to call an anchor for the home
Yeah.
to be able
hmm
to then say, okay, whatever age you're in, if you're raising your kids or if you're
Yep.
wanting to invest in community, you're able to take that and that
hmm
faithful anchor and be able to go out into the community and give back. But if you don't have that component,
hmm
I feel like so many homes are missing that right
Yeah. I that is consistent with my research and my understanding of the American young family landscape right now. Um, yeah, I have so much to say about that. So we actually just finished construction in September, so just a few months ago, on a room addition to was it intended to be and is part family room for our family. My son's a movie buff, and so bonding that we do is actually through watching movies and making it an event, having popcorn and hot cocoa and stuff, and experiencing a movie together. That's his love language is quality time. So for us to do that as a family is really impactful for him. And so we're not on our phones. We're all experiencing watching the movie together. So that kind of ties into, I feel like I want to go a couple places with this.
Sure. Absolutely.
Um, yeah, it ties into number one, and this is good news for the audience, is that you just have to have the awareness that you
Yeah.
have to intentionally create and knit together these times, places, and opportunities for these things that you were talking about, for that connection with your family. Because we look at Proverbs 31 and the Proverbs 31 woman, and we know that our first ministry is to our homes. This is kingdom work that we are
Right.
doing
Yep.
as hardworking wives and mamas. And so the other thing I want to say about our room addition is that the other part of the room is an 8-seater dining table because I didn't have formal dining. I had a small space adjacent to the kitchen. Um, I have a small breakfast nook that seats both my kids, and that's perfect for crafts or cookie decorating or eating breakfast or whatever. And then really only 3 usable chairs for a family of 4. And I was like, this just cannot be. And I love hosting so much. I'm like,
Yes.
I was
Yes.
having to use outdoor spaces, which I am in Southern California. So, that worked out pretty well. But I said, I have to have this, happen. So we put our money where our mouth is, and we made this room
Yeah.
addition happen. And also part of it is my husband's office. And I can't tell you how much that having that space has blessed us. And so and given us the opportunity to have conversations and be together as a family and create rituals and routines and things like that.
Right.
And so I think just number one is to be intentional. And it's funny that you mentioned the physical layout of our homes. 2 things on that. Number one is that I'm always saying Pinterest would lead you to believe, because we know the enemy is out there
Oh,
prowling
absolutely.
like a lion seeking whom he can devour. And oftentimes, and this is what I have found as my story, and I'm sticking to it, is that all he has to do is distract. I think
Right.
Edmund Burke was the one who had said that all it takes for evil to triumph is for a good man or woman to do nothing. And so, if we are so distracted, getting our kids with their soccer cleats to their
Yep.
practice and then to ballet class with the bag and this and that, then we are missing the point.
Right.
Um, yeah. And so it's funny that you mentioned our homes because right now, so again, God is very gentle and very patient with me, and He is revealing things to me in this ministry as time goes on. And so one of the revelations so I had it with the book in May of last year, I had it with the podcast in September, and then just in January last month, another one is to create a collective. That's what I'm calling it, the Welcome Home Collective, where I teach women how to do these things. So it's going to launch in April of this year. It'll be called the Welcome Home Collective. And I can certainly follow up with you and your
Yeah.
program
I would love
for
that.
more
Yes.
information. Yeah, but I'm keeping the prices for the courses very affordable and accessible
Sure.
because I don't think moms have an extra 149 or $199 lying around. And so I'm pricing them at $99 and I teach you I was just working on the interior design course because that is a chapter in my book. And so I build that out more with practical reflection questions, a 2-question quiz at the end, printables and downloads and things like that. But with interior design, you need to look at your space and say, what is this? What is the function of this space? What are we trying to do here? And visualize and think about your intentions behind that. How do we want to make this our like family space? So in my example of the part of our new build that is the family room, we got a cedar recliner. So we can all recline and kind of turn it into a movie theater on weekend evenings, and be together and make that happen. But going back to the distraction thing, I am always saying that the enemy would have us whipped up thinking that if our stuff doesn't look Pinterest perfect or Instagram ready, then we're missing the mark. And let me tell you, when I make like a meatloaf or when I make ceviche or any of the things that are in the because it is part cookbook.
Yes, I
My
saw
seventh
that.
chapter, yeah, has family recipes from my great grandmother and my great aunt and my grandmother that have just never seen the light of day. And it's such an honor to be able to include amazing family recipes. My father-in-law's from Callao outside of Lima in Peru. And so I have a ceviche recipe in there and stuff. And so social media would have us believe that, like, if these things don't look like, perfect, that
Yeah,
we're doing it wrong. And so I'm always saying, you do not have to be doing this on a 8 foot granite kitchen island in a new
right,
build,
right, right.
put garnish the plate, take a veggie platter, grab a head of romaine, lay that down and arrange it a little bit, and that's all you need. And then
Yeah,
people, yeah, feel loved, they feel seen and they feel welcomed, and it's really like WD-40 for the dynamics of your family household, because when you're a happy and fulfilled mama,
yes,
you're going
yes,
to pour out of a happy and fulfilled place because God will sustain you while you're doing the Lord's work for your
yeah,
family. And that's so important when we are like, nobody picks up around here. And why are the
yeah,
dishes
yeah.
always dirty? And all the
Right,
things that
right.
get to us. Yeah.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, we have about 3 minutes left. So
Yeah.
I want to lean in on this question really quickly. So I heard you talk about just the cost effectiveness of being able to not have to worry about Pinterest, setting that aside and
Hmm.
using and being just really smart about using what you have. But I
Yeah.
want to talk about, moms and dads and caregivers and grandparents, they are so focused on just making sure food is on the table and
Hmm.
gas is in their tank. We live in
Hmm.
a day and culture where that is
Hmm.
unfortunately the mode and the method to the madness.
Yeah.
Um, and you mentioned some of your recipes. So, a part of that course, will there be opportunities for you to kind of show budgetary items that are very
Hmm.
quick, easy meals, but still get us around the table to actually
Hmm.
enjoy something, but also engage? So, you're being filled both spiritually and physically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear that because we are a young family too. And I say constantly, and I know I'll have to be a little less loquacious than I usually am with my response. But I was telling my husband last year a couple of different times that why is it we work so hard and yet we still feel so broke, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, reducing and eliminating food waste is huge for me. It's just always been a thing. And then when you have the more children that you have and the more people in
Yep.
your family, the higher likelihood of having food waste. So I absolutely talk about that in my book. I also talk about substitutions for common ingredients, so that if you're in a pinch, you can substitute something. Um, and I also talk about composting. And on my website, welcomehomebygina.com, I have a free composting download, printable that anyone can have. And so you can take things like your banana peels and your coffee grounds and repurpose them through composting. Again, I'm in Los Angeles, so we're not on, this is done on a small scale, but we're able
Right.
to enrich our soil with that because we're using kitchen scraps there. And then also tips on freezing. You would be so surprised you can freeze milk, butter, bread, and they all maintain their structural integrity. And
Yeah.
so when you go to use them, you would never know that they had been once frozen. But I find that being able to take things out of the fridge, get them into the freezer, whether they're prepared or not, labeled, and you reach it another time really helps me get in front of things. If I know we have a busy week and we're not going
Right.
to get to it, then we're not wasting it.
Right, right. No,
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for that. We have 30 seconds left. So
Okay.
I want to encourage people, hold your book up one more time. I
Yeah,
want to encourage
absolutely.
people to go by Welcome Home by Gina Romero. And what is your website? Is it welcomehomebygina.com? Did I get it right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. And then I'm excited to bring you back. Let's have you
Oh,
come
yeah.
and talk about some of your classes that you're preparing for, and would just love to hear more about other tools and tips that we can bring
Yeah.
our families. The audience is military veterans, Capitol
Mm,
staff, White House staff, and
mhm.
families within the DMV
Yep.
area and around the world. So we really want to impact them for the glory of God, most important.
Absolutely. And I want to say thank you for your service to all of those groups that you just mentioned. You make our country better.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much
Hmm.
for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, on that note, come back anytime. And
Great.
yeah, we'd love to have you. And for all of those who are tuning in, stay tuned for our next segment. We will be right back. Thanks for being here.